What's going on, guys? Danny here from Metal Couch. Bolt Thrower Discography continues today with their album Mercenary. Now, for Victory, 10 out of 10 album. Fucking awesome. Like, the pinnacle of Bolt Thrower, even though really all of their albums previous were good in their own right. But for Victory was a huge, well, forgive me, it was a huge victory for Bolt Thrower. It was just an awesome album. I loved every second of it. And this is where, for Victory, this is where the band starts to get into, the lead singer Carl leaving the band and stuff like that to go off and finish his education, which is noble cause. I completely understand why somebody would want to do that. He comes back for Mercenary. Mercenary is a Bolt Thrower album that I've never listened to all the way through. I've heard like one or two songs off of it beforehand, but have never listened all the way through, and I know that for a fact that most people tend to avoid this album, going for stuff like For Victory or The Fourth Crusade. Mercenary opens up with 3 tracks. Just 3 tracks that I want to name off right now. Zeroed, Laid to Waste, and Return from Chaos. Excuse me. Zeroed is, there's no intro to this album, like what I've been talking about with previous entries in the Bolt Thrower discography, but Zeroed is a track that I don't think really does too much. I mean, other than some solos towards the end, it doesn't really help establish a foothold and make me want to listen to the rest of this album. That comes with Laid to Waste and Return from Chaos. Both of these tracks are fucking awesome. I mean, from an instrument standpoint, they're pretty good. These first 3 tracks are where I kind of get a bit of a sense of the production on this album, and the percussion section is extremely lacking on this. The drums are so weak that it's just, there's no power. There's no power. But unlike some of previous albums where I've complained about the drum work and missed opportunities and things like that, it doesn't really do that with this one. It's just, the whole bottom end of the production is just kind of flat and relies more on the guitars to drive everything, which I've listened to albums like that before, but drums to me are an integral part to a heavy metal album. And to kind of give them the shaft like this, it's not a positive in my book at all. Very lackluster when it comes to drum production. We get the title track Mercenary, which, I'm going to be frank with you, is very boring. I didn't quite find anything interesting on this track. It's a death metal song. Okay, I'm thinking, alright, so we got one really big boring track here in the middle of the album. You can't win them all. Then we get to the last. It's even more boring than the title track. It does nothing different. It doesn't break any new ground. It doesn't have any, I've always commended Bolt Thrower with their guitar lines being memorable. Like Spearhead or World Eater. These are tracks that get stuck in your head because they write such memorable passages. And so far, 5 tracks in out of 9, I, for the life of me, I don't have any riffs stuck in my head from this album. It's so forgettable. It's so stock, so generic. And it's unfortunate. Powder Burns has a nice fade-in intro, I guess. It's super 90s. There's a lot of albums from the 90s that I've listened to that have this whole fade-in thing, and Powder Burns is alright. Not really anything special. Behind Enemy Lines, listen to this whole album got finished listening to it 10 minutes ago. I can't tell you a single thing about Behind Enemy Lines. I really can't. It's so unforgettable. I can't remember a damn thing about it. No Guts, No Glory. Again, stock, generic, doesn't do anything special. 6th Chapter, however, attempts to get that closer status for Victory, which we all know how great the closer for that was. And that's not sarcasm, that's being honest. The 6th chapter is a very lackluster album closer, lacks any sort of punch or climax. It's just like you listen to this album and you can tell that these guys haven't been playing together for quite some time. Their lead vocalist had no idea whether or not he wanted to continue being a part of Bolt Thrower or if he wanted to move on to something else, which, I mean, hey, he went off to go pursue an education, that's great, came back for this. You can tell that they weren't in sync, which is unfortunate, because when this album had, like, Laid to Waste and Return from Chaos are 2 really good tracks, and, I mean, they're good. I mean, I would like to see them play those 2 tracks live. There's some pretty good tracks, and Powder Burns has some decent quality to it, but really this is just like a generic death metal album, and it's not quite deserving of the Bolt Thrower name. This is an extremely, I guess you could say it's probably one of the worst works that Bolt Thrower have put out, but even then, you know, as in the past when I've talked to you about mediocrity with Bolt Thrower, it still gets high ratings. And I'm starting to attribute that to the fact that it's just got the Bolt Thrower name on it. But, a bit of a plus, the album artwork is much better than for Victory. Bigger improvement. I actually really like the cover art for this. I would say that it's on par with Fourth Crusade, but some people might disagree with me on that. This album is the problem child of Bolt Thrower's discography, in my opinion. And I'm kind of curious to hear Honor, Valor, Pride, because I've never listened to Honor, Valor, Pride, the next album that we're going to be talking about, which, according to what my research, has 3 title tracks, so that's going to be pretty interesting. I just hope it's not a clusterfuck of different themes trying to go in mishmash together. I mean, Honor, Valor, and Pride pretty much have a whole bunch of characteristics in common. Mercenary, it's the problem child of Bolt Thrower's discography, and much like my own review on it, is very boring, stock, generic, has no substance, and it's just skip this one. I mean, it's death metal, I guess. You're better off listening to For Victory, or The Fourth Crusade, or In Battle There Is No Law, or Realm of Chaos, or War Master. Anything before this you would be better off listening to. Just don't listen to Mercenary. If I had to give this album a grade, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. Easily the lowest album rating I've given a Bolt Thrower album so far. 6.5 sounds very good to me. It's got an average of 75%, so I am going a little below the popular opinion, but who cares? It's all about me. 6.5 out of 10. I don't even know how to end this. I'm just gonna talk to you guys later. Danny here from Metal Couch, signing out.